Thank you.
So, I mean, not everyone, I guess, got this new memo that was put out.
Apparently not. No.
Yeah.
We tried to talk to, I'm not kidding, Anderson, we must have tried to talk to at least 30 different people in groups, individuals. I tried to talk to people away from the camera to say, look, there's no camera, no anything, just talk to me.
Right.
And it was, I've been doing this for more than 30 years.
Right.
I have never seen so many people across the board,
right.
We cannot talk. And security guards.
Private security guards hired by BP.
Private security guards, well, hired by someone. I mean, here's the weird part about this, Anderson. There are all these people out here working, and when you say to them, can you talk to me? No. Did someone tell you not to? I can't tell you. Who do you work for? I can't tell you. How are you in charge? I can't tell you.
What I found so stunning, though, about this bird incident that Jim Acosta had and that I had is these were federal wildlife officials. I mean, this was not even BP. Right. I have two sources who are involved in this effort who won't speak on camera, but they have told me, look, we will be fired if we say anything publicly. But they say, at least on this bird effort, that, you know, there's huge bureaucracy involved, that in every boat to go out on the birds, you have to have a state wildlife official, you have to have a federal wildlife official, you have to BP contractor, person involved in bird rescue, and it's slowing operations down.
Which is exactly
all these people have problems and want to talk, but a lot of people are afraid about getting fired.
And all these local people are saying that's why birds are dying. But I do know this. Earlier today, John Roberts was out at the same place. He talked to BP officials after being out there and getting the same treatment, and they said, we'll clean it up. I'll tell you, by the end of today, it's not cleaned up. It's still the same way.
Yeah. Tom, appreciate it. Thank you. Digging deeper now. James Carville had plenty to say about BP and transparency. Here's more of our conversation. 11 people are dead, and hundreds of thousands of people are having their lives forever changed.
Forever changed. But also an entire culture is at risk. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. This is very, very different. This is not what you think of if you think of your typical Southern culture, like, you know, in Mississippi, which we're both familiar. This is entirely different. It's a way of life, and it sustains tens of millions of other people. It's the most productive, high-quality seafood area in the world. And, you know, and when this is happening and people say, man, you look like you're mad on TV, I'm not so much mad, I'm like, I want to do something. I feel like that no one understands the gravity of the situation here, and some people are just slow on the uptake. And you know, when it's all written, I'm just curious as to how all this happens. BP, it doesn't even, why do we even report what they say? What they say doesn't matter. They got lying lawyers telling lying corporate people what to say. They're irrelevant in terms of anything that they say as to the flow rate, anything that they say as to the timeline, that they're going to do something, anything that these local people will tell you, that every claim they try to, they do this, that's what they do. They're incapable of doing anything else. It is their nature to lie. That's just what they do. They can be helped.
They have no desire, it seems, for transparency, despite their public
keeping our reporters
out.
What? In other words, if let's just assume, on the off chance that I'm right, it's a war. Well, this is one war where it doesn't matter if the enemy knows what we're doing. It's just stupid oil. It's just not like it. You can tell the oil that we know how much of you are coming out. It doesn't matter. They can't doctor it. It's really amazing, and and people are very, 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 they're apprehensive, they're tense, and this thing just keeps going, and every piece of information they get is worse than the information they got the day before, and you really can't blame them for feeling like they do. It's a totally understand. I know I feel, just forget being a CNN contributor, or forget, like, being a guy, I feel helpless, too. I feel the same thing that the guy on the street feels.
When one is so blatantly lied to, and you know, have the truth just hidden time after time after time, it's hard not to feel that way.
It is, and it's important that our government step in and make some real fundamental changes. And if the president, you know, he wants to emote, I'm not one of these guys, I've never said any of that, but I mean, he ought to be angry that his people, the people that he is charged with responsibility of defending, are being lied to, and actually he's being lied to too. And I think this president is a smart man. I think he wants to help us, but he's got to get better people giving him better information.
James Carville, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, the oil now hitting Florida. Senator Bill Nelson joins us, not happy with the federal government, or frankly, of course, that matter, BP. Later, investigating BP's safety record. The company says it puts safety first. See what the facts say. Talking about transparency from BP and communication from the federal government, Florida Senator Bill Nelson is angry about both. I spoke to him earlier today about officials apparently not giving the word that oil had actually hit Florida's coastal coast, and BP not coming clean. Take a look. I want to talk to you about the lack of transparency that we have been seeing all across the board now for 52 days now from BP. You know, what a lot of people may not realize is we only began to see the video images of the underwater leak because you and other folks on Capitol Hill insisted that BP release those video images, and even then, they only initially released a 30-second clip. What is going on with BP? What do they not understand about the word transparency?
You know, that's exactly right. If we need to know for trying to clean up the Gulf and protect marine life how much oil is in there, then we need the clear pictures and we need all the streaming video in order to let the scientists calculate how much oil is out there.
When did you learn that there was high-definition video? Because I talked to Congressman Markey, I guess it was 2 days ago when it was finally released, and he said he had only learned about it that day in the newspaper. And I talked to a scientist from the Flow Rate Commission, and he had only received those images on that day. And this is a scientist who's tasked by the government with actually coming up with the accurate figures who needs that video. So when did you learn about the video or first see it?
Senator Boxer and I learned the same time as Congressman Markey. We saw it in the paper.
I want to play you just something that the COO of BP, Doug Suttle, said to John Roberts yesterday. They refuse to come on my program. They refuse now for, I don't know, probably about 3 weeks or so. Every night we ask them, they don't return our phone calls at this point. But I want to play you something that he said to John Roberts about the giving out of this video. Listen.
But I can tell you since very early on, and it'll be, I can't remember the exact date, day 3, day 4, everyone associated with this event, all the government groups, all the BP and industry folks were able to see all the videos from these remote vehicles were operating.
He said all the government groups, BP people and industry people were able to see that video from like day 3 or day 4. He's talking about, I guess, just the regular video. That just doesn't simply seem to be, that just is not true, right?
That doesn't line up with the facts.
So when the Obama White House says we're in charge, you say not enough?
They're certainly not in charge when communication is not going to our emergency operations center in Pensacola when oil's coming into Florida waters. They're certainly not in control when I asked a week ago how many boats are out there helping protect our shores, and within the span of an hour and a half, I get 3 different answers. That's not the crisp command and control that you expect from the top, that the President of the United States would expect, and he is not being served, nor Admiral Allen, in that command and control.
Senator Nelson, I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Anderson.
Senator Nelson earlier today. Coming up next, is it a smoking gun against BP? Internal documents allegedly show the company was more concerned with saving money than safety. That's ahead. Also tonight, remembering the loved ones who died on the Deepwater Horizon. I talked with some of the those who died's loved ones about how they are coping today.
One foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Just, you know, I went back to work, and that's a distraction for me, but I think I need a little more time off.